Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our special coverage of today's main event as Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry met on Monday his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Moscow. During the meeting, Shoukry delivered a message from President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. The message stressed on the stronger Egyptian-Russian relations and coordination between the two countries on all issues of mutual concern. Shoukry's talks with Lavrov focused on means of boosting bilateral cooperation in addition to regional and international files of mutual concern. Shoukry and Lavrov held a joint press conference after the talks where they discussed several issues. Shoukry said that Egypt is keen on continuing cooperation in Daban nuclear power station and in the field of tourism. In order to shed more light, we're very much delighted to have with us the journalist Abdel Latif Wahba. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, how do you see today's important talks between Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry and his Russian counterpart Lavrov?
As you mentioned, we have historical relations with Russia since the previous Soviet Union era. And I think Egypt, during President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, took power, he diversified Egypt's international relations, and he didn't depend upon these traditional allies like Western states, or European states, or United States, and so on, but he extended Egyptian foreign relations to East Asia, to Latin America, and the European countries, and Russia at the same time. We signed with Russia many agreements, as you know, especially in Daba nuclear power stations, and they but a huge part in establishing this planet or these power stations, and at the same time we have a trade also exchange with Russia. As you know that Egypt imports, according to the international tenders they offered by the General Authority for Commodities, they imported a huge part from abroad, from Russia, from Russian wheat. This is, of course, very important for Egypt. And at the same time, we exported to Russia agri-products and the fertilizers and so on. I think it is important just now to increase the bilateral relations between Egypt and Russia, especially in other sectors or fields like
tourism, for example.
Yeah. Naval bases, and also in some like railways developments in Egypt and so on.
Yes. Mr. Wahba, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry also said that the talks covered means of ending the Palestinian-Israeli conflict based on the two-state solution. How do you see Egypt and Russia stance regarding this issue?
As you know that Egypt adopted the Palestinian issues since 48 from last century, and Egypt is the only country in the Middle East, in the Arab world, that try to get all the rights, the Palestinian rights, especially as you know that after many countries or Arab countries signed some agreement with peace agreements or trade deals with Israel and so on. This is, of course, encourage the Egyptian diplomacy to ask to reach two-state solutions according to the United Nations and Security Council resolutions and so on. I think we have a much in common with Russia concerning the Palestinian rights.
Yes. Shukri and Lavrov discussed also several regional issues, and they stressed on the importance of preserving Libya's unity and sovereignty, and forcing mercenaries and foreign troops out of the country. And also they called for ending the conflict in Syria. How do you see the stance again of both countries with regards to the regional issues, particularly in Syria and Libya?
As you know that Russia, when interfered in or supplied some help for the Syrian people, for example, they aim to face the terrorist groups that fled from Iraq, fled from some Central Asian states and so on. This is, of course, they wanted to protect themselves from terrorism. This is one. But on the other hand, as you know, that Egypt at the same time always supported the Syrian rights, the Syrian unity, and also to push all the factions, Syrian factions, to reach to a settlement concerning how to deal with the current regime and so on. Egypt, as you know, supported the Syrian people till now. This is on one hand. On the other hand, as you know, that we suffered from some terrorist attacks during the past years, and Egypt now is trying to is still supporting the Libyan to reach to the full plan of democracy.
Yes.
As you know, they supported the elections. They supported also at the same time, and they called for the international society to take actions against mercenaries, against the foreign troops in Libya. And I think Egypt and its foreign policy plays an equilibrium, a balance in the area. As you know that the European and also the Middle East suffered from the terrorist attack, especially after moving some groups from Syria to Libya.
Yes. Mr. Wahba, both foreign ministers touched on a very important topic, that is the disputed Ethiopian dam. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry said that the talks also covered the disputed Ethiopian dam and Russia's support to Egypt in the UN Security Council. In your opinion, how far can Russia support Egypt in the UN Security Council with regards to the Ethiopian dam?
As you know that when or during the last month, I think the Security Council issued a statement calling for all the parties to resume negotiations again, according to the full rights of Egypt for its part in the Nile and also Sudan at the same time. And the international society supported Egypt in this movement, especially the EU, the African Union, the African Union at the same time. Egypt is still calm in dealing with these issues. And as you know that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi declared many times that the Egyptian Nile water or the Egyptian portions from the Nile water is completely preserved, and we can we can protect it.
Yes. At the same time, Sir Lavrov said that he agreed with Shukri on holding 2+2 meeting of foreign ministers and defense ministers of the two countries next year. To what extent is this important, and what would be the issues discussed between the foreign and defense ministers of both countries?
As you know, that all the countries, all many countries in the world just now trying to join the drills and the military maneuvers and so on. You see in sometimes the American drillings with some European countries like Turkey, and so on. Also, France with Greece, for example, Cyprus, and so on. It is important for Egypt and for Russia to cooperate also in this aspect. As you know, that Russia in the north and Egypt is the south of Europe, and they can play an important part in securing the Middle East, the Mediterranean, the Mediterranean area, especially as you know that there is a threat in Libya, in Syria, and in some countries of the Middle East.
Mr. Wahba, during his visit, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry will also hold talks with the Russian Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev. This is part of the continuing consultations with the Russian side on the most important files of joint cooperation. What are these files that could be discussed during the visit?
Of course, this is, I think, important. As you know, that a week ago, the U.S. National Security Advisors also visited Egypt. So it is important to exchange the experience and the data with the other countries, especially a state like Russia, for example. They have a great information of the plan of the terrorist group in Europe, in Middle Asia, and so on. Egypt, at the same time, managed to face any terrorist group, not only in Egypt, but also around the Egyptian borders.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Abdulatif Wahba, journalist, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in our special coverage. I'm Hala Al-Hamalawi. Many thanks for watching.
Thank you.